welcome to The Well-Tended Life. I'm your host, Carrie Wilt, a speaker, writer, and heart cultivator who's on a mission to help you grow through any season. I am here today with my special guest, Deanna Salles-Freeman, who is a certified life and health coach, and she's agreed to come to talk to us today about meditation. Now, don't get all crazy on me yet. Don't run away. Don't turn it off, because she's going to take what I think some people think of as maybe woo-woo and difficult and maybe even a little bit crazy, and break it down for us into a way that we can apply it in our own lives that I do believe will help us to grow and bloom and be and live our best well-tended lives as possible. So, but before we get into that, welcome, Deanna.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It is absolutely my thrill. Before we get started, just give us a little introduction of yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, maybe even how you got into what you're doing.
Okay, so basically I am, like you said, Deanna, and I am a health and life coach. And what I do is really help people to get their lives to where they want. That's what coaching does, right? So it's not therapy and it's not counseling. But my passion is so that people can get to that clean crafted life, just to be able to put themselves in their best version of themselves. A lot of people just feel like they've been through the mill. And so basically, I want people to understand that they can love themselves radically. And when they do that and do that first, they're better off for everybody else, excuse me, in their life. So that's kind of my mission. That's what I do.
I love it. Tell me about that word, clean crafted. What does that mean exactly for someone to live a clean crafted life?
So I kind of borrowed it. I didn't make it up. I borrowed it from
I love it.
A wine company that I like. Okay. Because, I'm 50-ish, a little over. and so at this point, I loved having my wines, but I was getting headaches. I was getting congested, and I couldn't keep it up. I mean, and I don't drink a lot, but even just one glass was doing this. Right. And I was like, I can't anymore. And I enjoy it so much, So we found this little company that they work on scouting out clean crafted wines. And it basically means no additives. Yeah. And I tried it, and it works. And so I thought about that phrase, and I'm like, we need to craft our lives, right? I mean, if we don't craft our lives, then somebody else is going to do it for us. So I love that phrase. And I was like, this is almost like my mission in the way that I want my life to be. I want it to be clean crafted on purpose, mindfully, the way I want it to be. And everybody should want that, whatever their picture is for themselves, not my picture, their picture. So
yes,
that's basically kind of where that came from.
I love that. Well, you don't know this because we just met, but my husband and I own a restaurant, and it's called Grape Juice. Because my husband,
know that you owned a restaurant, but I didn't know what it was called. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know all about wine. Actually, I know a little bit about wine. My husband knows all about wine.
Right.
But yeah, and unfortunately, so much of what we eat out there and drink has been manipulated. And even things that you think would be pure aren't always. And so definitely knowing what we're ingesting in our bodies is vital, whether that's nutrients or even, what we're watching and what we're listening to, all of those kind of things, help us to have that clean feeling, that clean mind, that clean body. I love that. I may be stealing that also. I'm going to borrow it from your borrowing. I don't know what that's called. Maybe borrowing to the second degree.
Whatever. I feel like
I love it. Well, and It's why I invited you here, because it fits so well with our mission of the Well-Tended Life, which is, going to work on yourself every single day, harvesting and planting the things that you want to grow, and, being purposeful about it, and not just, letting these random weeds growing up and all of those kinds of things into your life. You got to be purposeful about it. So, okay. And I have one other question before we get started. I was stalking you today on Instagram, and I saw that you just signed up for a 100-day challenge.
Okay.
So I'm going to help you hold you to your feet by making you talk about it to begin with. But girl, you're brave. 100 days. Tell me what you're doing.
Okay. So it is crazy, but my word for the year to myself was integrity. And I went through a health scare last year. So I have been on a struggle bus, even with all the health stuff that I do. My, uterus rebelled and it tried to kill me.
Oh no.
On the inside.
That pesky uterus.
Yes, she's gone. So, but with all of that, I'm still going through a lot of recovery. There was something that happened in surgery. My bladder wound up damaged, and then I wound up with bladder surgery. It's a big thing.
Yes.
So I am not in the place where I want to be health-wise, but I'm just getting to a point where I can start doing all the things that I need to do. I've been doing it food-wise, diet-wise, all of that. I've been through a couple of cleanses since then, whatever. But physically, it's just been sporadic. It hasn't been the way it was supposed to be. And the problem is that life, you go crazy. So if you aren't crafting your life,
right,
it's just going to get away from you. And so I just decided, I have another girl that I follow, and she kind of took this on, and I watched her through it. And I was like, yeah, that scares the heck out of me. I am impressed with you. Go you.
And tell them what she did, or tell them what you're doing.
Okay. So it's just literally 100 days of workouts, no missed days, every day, because I don't keep my word to myself. Like I said, it was sporadic. It's not like I didn't work out. It probably wound up being about 3 times a week. But it was just hit or miss as to even what I was doing. Was it even challenging enough for me? Whatever.
Right.
So I committed to specifically 100 days. I signed up with the Peloton app, and I love yoga. So that's what I'm doing. 100 days, period. And then if I like it, I'll re-up, So
I love it. Well, one of the most interesting things that you said in your post was that 30 minutes a day is only 2% of your day.
That is true.
People at home, I don't know if your mind is as blown by that statistic as it was mine. I was like, 2% of my day? Sometimes finding 30 minutes feels like the hardest thing in the whole wide world.
That's true.
But finding 2% of my day seems easy for some reason. It's such a mind shift when you look at it at the overall scale of things, and you were like, you're worth that 2%, taking that 2% time to do that.
It's perspective.
Yeah.
You just, and that like we talk about with Well-Tended, with your journaling, it's stepping outside of, when you're in it, you can't figure it out. But if you just step back a second and go, okay, here's the day. I can't find 30 minutes. Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can. No, you can. You can. So if it helps somebody else's brain, like it totally helped mine today, it's only 2% of your day. 30 minutes is only 2% of your day, and you can do that. And maybe after today's podcast, maybe you will consider taking that 2% of your day and applying it to meditation. Because it also, has amazing health benefits. And so maybe somebody might want to do a 100-day challenge of meditation as well. I actually started my writing journey again with a 100-day project. a girlfriend of mine, Danielle Davies, challenged me, and she was like, okay, you want to write again? And I was like, yeah, I do. And she was like, all right, 100 days. And I was like, what? That's crazy. And
it's scary.
It is, but it's a good enough size bite that you have to be serious about it to commit.
Right.
But it's long enough to create a habit. And one that is literally ingrained, not just okay, I did it for 6 weeks and then it's over.
Right. And when something kind of scares you like that, when you go, it's that one thing that you know will change everything, that's scary, that's the thing you have to lean into. That's the thing you have to do. That's your sign. So, and if you resist that, it's just going to keep coming back to you and coming back to you and coming back to you till you do it. So you might as well just lean into it and go for it.
I love that. That's such great encouragement. Okay, let's dig into the reason that I have you on here, and let's talk about meditation. So for those at home who are listening on this on the podcast, or if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, I invited Deanna here today because I read a blog that she wrote called A Beginner's Guide to Mindful Meditation, where she basically gives us like 5 great tips for starting a meditation practice. And I loved it so much because it really it took the scary part away from me. We'll talk about it as we go, because I might need some coaching on this. I've had some struggles with meditation, and as with everything on the Well-Tended Life, this is a journey. I'm on a journey to live my best well-tended life. And so when I see something that is giving me some resistance like this, I want to push through and know more so that I can go and maybe conquer it or push through it. So anyways, can you give our listeners just kind of a brief history about meditation? You know, can you give us like a baseline? What is meditation? Where did it come from?
So so meditation is ancient. I mean, really, it goes way, way back. And it's rooted in Middle Eastern culture. Okay. And it has kind of been popularized in like that Buddhist Zen area. But, and some people actually think of it as a religious ceremony of sorts, but it's not what it is or has to be. So some people fear it because of its origins, right?
Right.
And they feel like, oh, well, you know, I mean, like, so let's say if you're a Christian, you may have been taught at some point in the past that this is not the best thing for you to do because the origins are pagan. Okay.
Right.
But
which by the way, also are the origins of the Christmas tree.
Well, it's the origins of most Christianity.
Yeah, right.
Not most of Christianity, but I guess the rituals that we have, right, in Christianity, whether it's Easter, Christmas, whatever.
Yes.
So so with that, there was this fear of oh, you're emptying your mind. But the real point of it is not to empty your mind. It's to allow your thoughts to flow, yes, because we are on overdrive, and it's worse now. Imagine, like, thousands of years ago, they didn't have the busy, connected life that we have now.
Right.
We are on information overload. And right now, in this time that we're in right now, it's more because we're stuck at home a lot more. And all we're doing is consuming information, and it is being thrown at you from every direction. None of it makes sense. Well, maybe a little bit of it makes sense. It
changes every day.
Contradicting themselves. It's just, so we don't, now more than ever, this is such an important thing to try to take on. Yeah, it is about calming your mind, not emptying your mind.
Well, and that's such a huge thing, because somewhere along the way I got the impression that meditation was that you were to be thinking about white paper, like that it was supposed to be a blank space inside. And so I know the few times I've tried it, I'm like, I can't, there doesn't seem to be that place for me. So I thought, well, I'm doing it wrong. I must be doing it wrong.
So you don't want to go into it with thinking of an outcome. That's number one, because
but
it's about.
But I like to have a plan, Deanna. I like to know what the outcome is.
Which is why you need it.
Yeah,
so
I know this. Yes.
So it's about a process. It's not, and I hate to be that, oh, enjoy the journey person, but it's about the process really much more than the outcome, because the outcome is going to be the same no matter what. And that is going to be a calming of your mind. And however you get to that, everybody does it differently, but you can do it and you can get to that. So, and anybody can do this. Anybody can do it.
So tell me a little bit about why someone would want to meditate. Like, what are the benefits that someone can see from even 5 minutes, 10 minutes of meditation a day?
So there's been studies done on meditation, talking about reducing inflammatory responses, reducing stress, improving depression, even things like lowering your blood pressure, pain, all kinds of different areas, sleep. So sleep is really important, right? Because if we don't get the right amount of sleep, we'll never actually be able to function optimally. And people don't give it the attention that they should. That's one of the things that gets sacrificed a lot, is sleep.
Yeah.
And if you're a person like me, and this is one of the reasons I actually kind of got into meditation, is I'm so tired. I'm watching a movie and I'm falling asleep watching the movie. I go get in the bed and my mind won't turn off. And I'm like,
go figure.
I'm passing out, right? So I have essential oils. I'm just going to show you this particular one. This is not a plug, but it's called White Angelica. And what I do is I use that along with my meditation too sometimes, because it is, it just creates an atmosphere of calm and peace, and it is, feels protective. And so I'll use that. I like to meditate first thing in the morning, but I often do it before I go to bed too. And it's not long, but if I do it and I do it along with my breathing, it helps to calm the mind so that you can process.
So one of the things I read as I was researching for today, it said that meditation reduces PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms by 73% of the time. And folks at home, you may think, okay, well, I haven't been to war. I haven't had something traumatic happen. But what we're living through right now is traumatic. All of the changes and the stay-at-home orders and all of these things, we're all internalizing these things in some form or fashion. And so, finding tools like meditation right now, and like she said, we're all consuming all of this information from, and maybe you're even just consuming way more Netflix than you used to, and you need to weed through that at night. This is a great tool for that. I also want to go back when you said it helps with inflammation. So my daughter, she is 14 years old, and in January, she was diagnosed with lupus. So we in this household right now are very keenly aware of anything that causes or can help with inflammation. And this is something, actually, until I was doing the research for today, I had no idea that it could help with inflammation issues. So if you're struggling at home, maybe pick her up, and this might be something you need to add back in, or add into your, eating well and exercising and reducing stress and all of those kinds of things for inflammation as well.
Yeah. So if you think about it, our emotions are manifest in our bodies physically. That's the way it works. And I like to do it real simply. Like if you've ever been embarrassed and you get hot and then all of a sudden you're red. That's an emotion, simple emotion that just manifested itself. Now our body releases those chemicals, this happens, and then it goes away, and it just takes those chemicals and flushes it out because it was something simple. But things like stress all day, every day, trauma, and if you ever were a child, then you have trauma in your life. It's just, that is a fact of life, period. Because the way we internalize things to protect ourselves as kids becomes trauma at some point in certain aspects of it. And you have to kind of reparent yourself, right? So this is why something like this is so important, because we release chemicals all the time into our bodies. And the only way to kind of get yourself into that parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest mode, so that you can let those things process out of your body. If you don't let them process out, they get trapped. And now you have physical problems like disease. Yes. That's what happens. So it's kind of profound when you think about the different things you can do to help alleviate some of that. Well,
and I think most doctors won't tell you that. That many, very few of them, right. at least we've found that, right. You know, they're so focused on the symptoms and alleviating those symptoms, that the root causes behind them really many times, not always. I mean, there are true injuries that happen. But many times the root cause is emotion and trauma that has been unreleased and undealt with, because we are all running and just running past it and not dealing with it in those moments. So
can I recommend a quick book real quick?
Yes, please.
So there's a book, I can't remember the author's name. I'll have to look it up and I can give it to you.
We'll put a link in the show notes for it.
But the name of the book is Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die. And when I read that book, I was so like, it was transformative, because you don't look at it like that. But this is true in our society, in traditional medicine right now. We live in a sick care society, not a healthcare society. They don't focus on health. They just focus on sickness, and they get a list of symptoms and they slap a name on a collection of symptoms. And then they have a protocol. And that's kind of the system we live in. But that's not how our body works. Nope. So it's why you need to kind of take responsibility for your own health and look into these type of things so that you can work along with the system we are in.
Right. Well, and this is, just like a school can't teach you everything, you have to supplement it with, extra classes outside and things that you're interested in and things that make you the whole human being. It's the same thing with your health. Like no one doctor can do it all. You've got to go out and find those things that also help, that holistic healing, I guess is the best word for that.
Hey friends, I know you're enjoying our conversation, but I wanted to break in and ask you a few questions. Are you interested in cultivating a clean, crafted life? Are you ready to love yourself radically and dream big? Working with Deanna can help you find balance in this unbalanced world with a proven framework. And now, through July 31st, Deanna is giving back. So when you opt for one of her 10-week or 10 plus 10-week coaching programs, she will donate up to 10% to a charity that's working to help end human trafficking. So when you sign up for coaching with Deanna, you will get to pour into yourself and into an amazing cause. So go to her website, deannawellness.com, that's DEANNA wellness.com, or connect with her on any social media platform at Deanna Wellness and message her for more details. Now, let's get back to the rest of our chat together.
So, talk to me about why you think people resist meditation or don't even want to try it from the beginning. Like, what are those barriers? Or I call them weeds. Weeds are the things that keep you from doing the things you're supposed to do.
Right.
Where do you see the biggest resistance?
And when I coach, I call it blockers, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest blocker to pretty much anything that we ever want to do is fear.
Yes.
It's fear. It's because you don't know. This is new. It's different. It's like learning to do a cartwheel, learning to ride a bike. You were scared at first, and you have to actually just kind of make that leap. So fear is probably the biggest issue that you come across as a barrier, because you come up with all these excuses as to, oh, that's not going to work for me. This is why I can't do it. This is not the way I am. I'm not that Zen person, whatever. You come up with all these things. There is probably a secondary reason, and that is kind of more on the self-sabotaging type of thing, where people somehow get into a cycle, and it is not conscious. Your subconscious really likes to run you, and it does tend to that side of self-sabotage, because not because you want to harm yourself, it's because your brain doesn't like to get out of its comfort zone.
Yes.
So it's in this pattern, and when you try to do something else, this is why the 100 days of whatever challenge you want to do, if you don't commit to it and just do it, take that, 5 seconds of courage and just do it, then your subconscious takes over, and then you're not getting there. So those are the two things that I think kind of work together to kind of scares people away from it. And I think people might be a little bit like, I don't get it. I don't know what it is,
Well, yeah, I was going to tell you. So like at first, really my first barrier was that I felt like it was woo woo. And,
right.
I was raised with two brothers, I watch sports, I'm like, I don't know. It just feels kind of woo woo-y. I'm not sure if I'm that way. But then I started to see people around me that I really respected, who were sharing the benefits of it. And so I said, okay, well, I'll give this a try. My biggest problem is that I tried a couple times, and then I decided I like you said, the mind took over, and I decided I wasn't very good at it. And so I just quit. I was like, clearly I can't make blank paper come into my mind. So I'm not good at it. So I'm going to quit. I was constantly wandering and constantly distracted. And so, I kind of wrote it off, but I keep feeling this need to go back and re-explore this because of that resistance, and that I do know that it was my mind. My mind quit on me before I was able to see the benefits of it. When someone starts a program like meditation, do you suggest they do it for a certain number of days, or is there a certain time limit that it kind of takes for you to really start to see the benefits?
So to be honest, that's all kind of flexible. I would say that you definitely have to do it every day. You need to try to commit to doing it every day. And I would say at least 2 weeks. So when I do my coaching, we do everything in 2-week increments, and we test it out.
I like that.
And then we see how it's going to go. And then we tweak it, because it's always personal, right? So when you're taking this up, pick morning or night. You have to pick, because you're not going to be able to do twice a day at first. So pick morning or night, whatever ones you feel like is going to benefit you the most. Now, if you're a person with a busy mind who can't go to sleep, nighttime might be the best. Like for you, I would say you have a morning routine.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
You have a morning routine already, and you do your journaling and you pour all of that out. So you're good, right? And
yes.
Maybe nighttime might be the better time for you to do that. Okay. So pick a time of day. And then I always start people with guided meditation. And the reason you want to start with a guided meditation is so that you can help pull your mind back to center. So you can pick, there's bunches of stuff for free. You can pick a topic. If you want to work on gratitude, find a meditation on gratitude, and it's going to walk you through some visualizations. It's going to maybe give you a mantra. Some of them have mantras so that it keeps you centered on that one thought the whole time, those type of things. And that's what I recommend to start. And they are short. I would say 10 minutes.
Great.
It doesn't need to be long.
So 10 minutes is less than 1% of your day. I don't math. I always tell people I don't math before 5 or after 5. That's how much I don't math.
Right.
So I'm
Well,
not gonna
15 minutes
give
is
exact
1%. So
yes. So it's less than that,
it's less
right?
than.
Yeah, less than. We're gonna round numbers.
Right.
Okay, so walk us through then your just kind of top 5 tips for starting a meditation practice.
Well, so I'm going to go from the blog, so that way if people want to refer to it, they can go back and read some more details on it.
Yes, and I'll put that link in the show notes as well, so you don't have to panic about learning or remembering all this stuff. You can take notes later if you need to.
Right. The first thing is to just go for it. So this is that Mel Robbins 5-second rule. This is the 20-second rule. Whatever you want to go by, go for it. Just do it, because the thing is, you're not going to talk yourself into it. You're just going to have to do it. It's not comfortable. Do it anyway. It's not going to hurt you. It's meditation. It's
right.
Not even.
Yeah. I mean, there really is no worst case scenario here, right? I mean,
right. This is what I said when I first started it. Okay, I'm spending 30, 45, sometimes 2 hours trying to turn my mind off to go to sleep. I've put the phone out the room. I've turned the lights off. I've tried watching a little bit of TV because I was already falling asleep to that to go to sleep. I tried all this stuff. 10 minutes of meditation is not taking up any additional time except for letting me. So that's where mine started. And so just do it.
Go for it.
Pick something and do it. Right.
Awesome. Yes.
You know, and set up your surroundings when you just do it too, because sometimes that's good. Like I put my diffuser on. Sometimes I put the little Zen music on, whatever it is that's going to help you focus in. I know I was reading your thing in the book and you said, you know, if it's noisy, sometimes I put white noise on the headphones. You just, whatever you need to do to just kind of focus in. The second thing is try to practice extended focus, you know, so we're accustomed to drifting, and it's okay if your mind drifts. Just when you notice that happening, just pull it back. It's not like it's going to not happen. It's going to happen. Just pull it back. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So that's why I say just keep practicing, just like you do anything else.
And when you stay like extended focus, that means being able to stay in that space for longer and longer and longer. Is that kind of what you mean by that?
Yes. So, but even throughout your day, you can practice this even when you're not in meditation. We kind of go through our days on autopilot, you know, and you just kind of like, I don't know if this is you, but if I'm trying to go somewhere, but it's kind of the route that would have taken me home. If I'm not focusing, you might just automatically get off and go, oh, wait, this is not where I'm going. I'm supposed to be going to the store. So we go.
Deanna, this is my life. My children have spent their whole lives going, Mom, are you going to turn? Are you going to turn? Are you going to turn? Because I get so up in my head. I pass their school probably 3 out of the 5 days of the week to pick them up. Like that's exactly, I clearly need this.
Right. So when you're on autopilot, you're not focusing on the task at hand, you're in your head. So even during the day, try to extend your focus, like consciously try to extend your focus on the things that are at hand so that you're practicing it in reality. And so then when you pull it into the meditation practice, you're working on that too.
One of the things you talk about in this section on the blog is the mantra meditation where you're saying the same things over. So I find actually the one thing that works for me to get to where I'm going is for me to say out loud over and over and over. Like I will even sing, I'm picking the kids up from school. I'm picking like I will make a silly song. I will do whatever it is in order to just keep it top of mind. Is that something that you encourage your clients to do, is to pick a mantra meditation maybe to kind of keep them focused on that one thing?
Yes. As a matter of fact, mantra meditation is what I still do. It's my favorite. I like to do it in the Sanskrit language. So this is interesting too, because you don't know the language, you really have to repeat the words. You know what I'm saying? So what, Deepak Chopra is the one that I use, and you do have to pay for that, but it's worth it. And what he does is he'll give you the Sanskrit words, but then he will also tell you what their meaning is. So I get the meaning in my head. I read it beforehand. I get the meaning in my head, but I say the mantra in Sanskrit, because if you're trying to speak something that you don't know, you really have to focus, and your mind does not go somewhere else when you're doing that. Because if I'm saying my ABCs, I can think about 800 other things while I'm saying that, because you know, so that's what I do. And then if you're doing this meditation in the mornings, then you can take that affirmation with you the rest of the day. So
one of the quotes in The Secret Garden is from Colin, who was the boy in The Secret Garden who was ill, and he was trying to make himself well. And he said, every morning and evening, as often in the daytime as I can remember, I'm going to say, magic is in me. Magic is making me well. I'm going to be as strong as Dickon, as strong as Dickon. So like he had his own little mantra that, you know, he was like, if I say it over and over, it'll eventually become true, because that's where my focus goes. For sure. And that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about focus, and where you put your mind is really where the rest of your body goes.
Exactly. And we have the magic inside of us. I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh gosh, if you meditate, you're going to cure your cancer, but you're going to help. It's going to help you. It will help you. It will benefit you. It will work with your, whatever protocol you're on, it will work with it, and it will benefit you. And it's one of the areas that this has been studied in too, because obviously your mindset and your outlook changes your outcomes all the time when it comes to health.
Well, and what you said, it changes you physiologically, for sure.
Hey friends, I know you are learning as much in this interview as I am from Deanna. It's just so great, but I wanted to break in and ask you for a favor. I could really use your help. Did you know that every time you leave a positive review on Apple Podcast, or make a comment on our YouTube channel, or make a comment on any of our Well-Tended Life's social media posts, it unlocks the door for others to experience the life-tending magic too. So next time, don't just watch, listen, and scroll on by. Leave us a positive review. Tell a friend to like or follow The Well-Tended Life. Share a post, or simply comment away when a topic strikes your fancy. I also wanted to remind you to make sure you're signed up for our weekly newsletter so that you don't miss out on all the awesome things going on here at The Well-Tended Life. So head on over to thewelltendedlife.com and just plant your email in the subscribe box. Then each week, I'll send out a quick note to all my Well-Tended Life friends that features inside growth, information on goodness, and general goings-on that I know you don't want to miss. And there's always links to these podcasts as well. Now, let's listen in to the rest of our chat with Deanna Salles-Freeman.
Okay, so number 3 is what?
Notice your breath and the sensations it causes in your body. Now, I practice this all the time. We can do it right now in here. One of my most favorite things to do is this 4-7-8 breathing. It's brought out. It's a technique that's brought out in here. This doctor, Andrew Weil, he came up with this technique to automatically and instantaneously put your body into rest and digest mode, which is tapping into your parasympathetic nervous system, right? So we don't want to be in that fight or flight, right? Because that's what we're in. That's what we live in, pretty much.
Yes.
So if we don't have saber-toothed tigers, we're not expending. The problem with fight or flight is it's not a bad thing, but we're not expending the energy to release the buildup of all that adrenaline, cortisol, and all that other stuff. We're not releasing it. The reason that came up in the past and why we had that response was then you were running and it was giving you the extra boost you need, and then it was expended. After that, you just like, right? So, but we don't have that, right? So it's not happening the way it's meant to happen. So this technique is you breathe in for 4 seconds.
Okay.
You hold it at the top for 7, and then you audibly exhale for 8.
Okay.
And it's and try to think of when you breathe in, try to breathe into your stomach. That's how, just think the air is going in my stomach. Just think that the air is going into your stomach.
Okay. Are you going to walk us through it? Let's do it. Let's do one.
Good. Ready?
Okay.
Okay, go. 1. So that's it. 4 seconds in.
It does. It's crazy.
Feel
kind of like
decent from your shoulders.
Yes.
You should feel it. Now, my recommendation is typically with this is do it 3 times in a row. You can do this in a car. You can do this when you're in traffic. You can do this when you're sitting at your desk at work and getting overloaded or stressed out. You can do this while you're cooking. It doesn't matter because it literally takes seconds. But you will feel a release of tension. Your breath makes such a difference.
I was just thinking, teachers, this is a great way to start your class. When those kids sit down, hopefully in their, maybe from home this year, but when you're dealing with them, man, you would think, matter of fact, some of the research that I have read today says that, attention span, it helps increase attention, it helps increase attention span. But the state of your kids or whoever you're talking to, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you, like that, just that one breath, you don't think it's going to do that much, and it does.
So, right. So in that place, when your mind wanders in your meditation, you can always, even if you're not in a guided meditation, you can always bring it back to your breath.
Yes.
Pay attention to your breath. What area of your body needs attention? Breathe and focus it into that area. Obviously, your lungs don't reach your kneecap, but you breathe the breath into that area because where your brain is focusing is where it gives attention, which is why you have pain, right? Your brain says, oh, we need to focus on this area. Go look at that. So you breathe into that area, then the oxygenation in your body starts flowing, and you can actually help to affect that area. So just pay attention to your breath. Just as simple as that.
I know breath work is so important. We could probably go on and on talking about. I know people like Tony Robinson. If you've ever seen anything on him, I mean, he does these like huge deep breathing things before he goes on stage, before he speaks, before he does anything. And so it's a big deal out there. Go research breath work out there, people, because it just like it's a whole nother topic. Maybe I'll have to find somebody who talk all about it. But the just like plants need oxygen, we need that. And especially right now when we're wearing masks out in public and all that kind of stuff, being able to really get those deep breaths when we are in places that it's safe to do that, do it. Notice your breath and the sensation it's causing in our bodies. Okay, what's number 4?
Is don't judge yourself for not doing it right. And I don't think we probably have talked enough on this topic. You just need to do it. You just need to do it. It doesn't, there's not a right way or a wrong way to do it. We're not trying to perfect some Buddhist monk situation. We're just trying to affect change in ourselves. So there's no right or wrong way of doing it. You can study all the details, or you can just do it however you do it.
Well, and what we were talking before we started recording, and you were saying that even the journal work that I do in the mornings is really like a written meditation. Right. So for me, actually, I thought I was doing it all wrong, which chances are I'm really probably already meditating in a way. I just hadn't viewed it through that lens. And I'm excited now to kind of go back and add some of these other layers of the breath work and trying to do my extended focus onto that piece to make it even more a more impactful part of my day for sure. Okay, so number 5, I think, is honestly the most important thing, which is
appreciate the work you did and be kind to yourself. So the bottom line here is that this is about loving on yourself, loving yourself radically, taking care of yourself. So you can tell yourself, oh, I love myself. I mean, you know, whatever. But if your brain is a funny thing and it knows when you're lying.
Yes.
Okay? And if you say you love yourself and then you call yourself stupid and you go around talking negatively in your head to yourself, you're not loving yourself. If you say you love yourself, but you don't nourish your body properly, you're not loving yourself. So
preach it, girl.
So loving yourself is actually caring for yourself. And we have all of this self-love, self-care stuff floating around out there. And again, that sounds so oversaid and so overdone that people don't take it seriously. And when I say self-care, what I'm telling you is to take care of yourself.
Yes.
If you take care of your kids, do you take care of yourself that well? If not, then you're not even giving them the best that you can give them.
No.
And you wrote about that in here too. You had a little comment about that. Like if I don't do me first, then I can't function to anybody else.
No.
And that is the way it should be. It's not selfish, it's selfless.
Yes.
Because if you take care of yourself, it's because you want to be the best you can after that.
Okay, I'm repeating that. I'm going to repeat that. It is not selfish. It is selfless. Y'all reframe that in your mind. It really is. It's critical for you and for the people around you to take care of yourself. I loved in your article, you also wrote this. You said, often the judgments we make of ourselves are based on the stories we've conditioned ourselves to believe. Talk to me about that.
Right. So your brain, it's like a movie, right? And everything, it fills in the blanks, right? So growing up as a kid, however you internalize something, it filled in the blanks. And we're always telling ourselves stories. Brene Brown says this. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she uses this as a way of communicating with her team, with her family. And she tells them, the story I'm telling myself is this.
Yes.
And she tells it because 9 times out of 10, the conclusion you've come to in your story is not what the other person or your team was even intending. You got pieces of it right, but you don't have the whole story. We have all these stories built up in our heads, and we frame all of our perspective by these stories. And we need to stop or change those stories when those stories aren't serving us.
Right.
So not all our stories are bad or wrong, right? But but in this situation, I can tell you the people who are thinking negatively about themselves, talking negatively to themselves, and are overthinkers just by the resistance you get to wanting to meditate. Because they're not good at being nice to themselves. So with that being said, you need to be able to take those thoughts, those stories, and reframe those. Like, be intentional about that. That is something you can meditate on. Just be intentional just about that.
Yeah, as those stories, as those stories come in, as those thoughts float in, reframe them.
Flip the script.
Send them, flip. Oh, I like that. Flip the script.
And
I love that.
And then the more you do that, the more that's going to become your story.
Yeah.
And now you're improving, the subconscious you, the you that drives your decisions and stuff. And so then it's going to open up, what you want to call it, karma, the universe, whatever. It's going to open up energy, and you're going to attract something different.
Oh my gosh. Deanna, this has been awesome. I know I have learned so much in this conversation, and I know our listeners are going to benefit from so many of the awesome nuggets that you have provided us with really just taking the fear out of creating this practice, which is really what it is, right? You say you do it every day. It's a practice, y'all. And living a well-tended life or a clean crafted life, it's a practice. If you want to get good at anything and you want to be proficient and you want to grow, you got to do things every day. This isn't a I keep saying it's like life is not, it's not a set it and forget it life. Like you can't just plant a seed and walk away and not water it and not tend to it. Life is the same way. And so I hope that people are encouraged to add this in as a part of their practice on their way to living a well-tended life. One of the things that I like to do at the end of the podcast is ask 3 rapid fire questions, which come actually out of my journal practice, which has actually evolved from even when I wrote the chapter in Ashley's book, A Beautiful Morning, that Deanna keeps referencing to. But one of the things I do is I sit down and I look at one bit of joy from the day, weeks before that I've seen, think about one thing that, one bit of goodness that I'm grateful for. And I try to spot the growth that's happening in my life, because those are the encouraging things that'll keep me doing the things to grow the bigger things if I don't notice the growth along the way. So what's one thing that's bringing you joy these days?
I would have to say that I am liking the fact that we can get out a little bit more. I am such a social person. And I thought at first, like, oh, well, this is good. I work from home mostly,
Right.
So I thought, well, this is not going to be that big of a difference. But yeah, it was because I'm missing girls' trips. I'm missing I feed on that stuff, and me and my friends, like now some restaurants are open, things like that. And we're just able to go out and feel some semblance of, I don't want to hear new normal or whatever, because that's not even a thing. Just some semblance of what I love, what I like to do. It fills me up. I feel like I'm getting back to some of that. And so that's one of the things right now.
And you live, to me, in one of the most social towns in America.
Right. Yeah. So I'm in New Orleans. I didn't mention that at the beginning.
some people might have picked
it's
up
not
on
just
your
a
accent.
social town. It's a town that likes to eat. We have really good food. Really.
I actually commend you for walking a health journey in the middle of that town. I've always said that, if I lived in New Orleans, I would be 300 pounds and an alcoholic, and you would find me. You'd find me stuffing my face with beignets. It would not be. It's not a safe place for me.
Well, you would do that for a week, but if you lived here, you wouldn't.
I know. Okay, so talk to me about one bit of goodness that you were grateful for. What's something you're feeling really grateful for right now?
Okay. So right now, my gratitude, because I post about this a lot of times, having an attitude of gratitude. You have to find gratitude in everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. But right now, even in the health mess that I went through, I still like the fact that I am empowered. I am grateful that I have the knowledge and the learning that I had. Had I not gone through all of the schooling and the knowledge, I wouldn't know how to take care of myself right now. So I really love that. I like that I can build my immunity, and I'm checking off some of these things that are residual effects from surgery that now I'm kind of clearing out and taking care of. And I know how to do that. So I'm really grateful for that.
I love that. And then finally, what bits of growth are you spotting in your life? Have you learned something here lately, or you have big projects that you're working on? Where are you seeing growth?
So for me, the growth is kind of in my coaching business. I just took on the life coaching certification, and I did it through a process that I had already used as part of my health coaching, because my health coaching was a health coaching, life coaching certification to begin with. But the framework that I used was taken from ULA, and I won't get into all of it, but that's what it was taken from. And I used it, but they didn't have a certification at the time, but now they do. And I just feel a lot of growth coming through that certification. It has continuing education every single month. And I'm loving that.
I wish they would require continuing education for all of us. I wish that if you're going to mandate masks, can you mandate continuing education for all of us? I think about teachers and all of those that are almost mandated. Well, they're mandated through their certifications to go out there and learn. I think if we were all pushed to go out there and once a month, you know, do some learning that's outside of what we already know, God, imagine how much better we would be. I'm going to mandate it. Everybody, I'm mandating it for all of you.
Right.
But monthly growth explorations.
Well, we're created to expand and grow. So if you've ever set a goal for yourself and you reach that goal, you didn't go, all right, well, now I'm done. Bye.
Right.
No, you just set the next goal, because it's not about, it's somewhat about the outcome, but it's more about the growth and the expansion. So you're always learning. And if you're not, then most people who are not learning are not happy with themselves.
No.
So you got to get on that train, you know?
Yeah. And listen, it's so easy these days too. There are so many resources to pretty much learn anything you want to, and you don't have to read a book anymore. You can do Audible books. You can do videos like YouTube. My son watches YouTube videos. He's 17, and sometimes he'll spew out information, and I'm like, you don't know that. Like, how do you know? And he's like, I saw a YouTube video on it. And so there aren't enough, there are no barriers out there to you learning other things. So go find it, or go find somebody else who knows about it and just ask them questions. Okay, man, thank you. Tell people how they can follow you and get in touch with you, all your website details, all that kind of stuff. And don't panic, everybody, either, because it'll be in the show notes afterwards.
Well, it's really easy. I've kind of streamlined this. I am at Deanna Wellness everywhere.
Awesome.
My website is deannawellness.com, on Instagram at Deanna Wellness, on Facebook at Deanna Wellness, on Twitter at Deanna Wellness, on LinkedIn at Deanna Wellness.
Boom. And it's Deanna, Deanna, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Goodness gracious. We'll just wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Or if you're watching on our YouTube channel today, I sincerely hope that this episode has inspired you to find a way to put a little bit of meditation into your day, and give it a try. Like Martha encouraged Mary in The Secret Garden, she said, you just try it. You can't skip to 100 at first, but if you practice, you'll mount up. Now she was talking about skipping rope, but I want to encourage you to give this practice and meditation time to mount up, because the benefits that you're going to see on the other side are going to be huge, and you're going to get better at it. So give it all a try. Go live your best well-tended life. And until next time, y'all, blessings and blooms. Thanks, Deanna.
Thanks.
Oh my goodness, friends, I had so much fun talking with Deanna today. There were so many good nuggets in there, and I know I personally plan to make that 4-7-8 breathing method a regular part of my well-tended day. If you want to know more about Deanna and her coaching, check out her website at deannawellness.com. That's DEANNA wellness.com, or follow her on social media under that same name, Deanna Wellness. And listen, you do not want to miss our next episodes of the Well Tended Life podcast, where we launch a new series called Our Secret Garden Stories, which will feature interviews, wait for it, with many of those who have helped to bring the new Secret Garden movie to life. That's right, stay tuned here for behind the scenes scoop from cast members, producer, the director, and so much more. So make sure to follow The Well Tended Life on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe today to our podcast and YouTube channels by the same name. And until next time, y'all, blessings and blooms.